Hi everyone, welcome to a Sunny Book Nook. Today we're going to be doing the mid-month reading tag, mid-month check-in tag, I'm forgetting what it's called. Not mid-month, mid-year, the fuck? Basically I just wanted to check in with you guys with my reading so far this year and, you know, just like thoughts and shit like that, right? Also, if you are a patron, you would have already seen this video set up and this outfit and this look because I filmed my TBR check-in mid-month like wrap-up situation for my Patreon exclusive video, #1 of the month and first one of all time. So I hope you enjoy if you are a patron, and if you aren't and you want to be in on that, it is always in the link in the description. So got my laptop here and I'm going to be going through these questions. Best book you've read so far in 2022. This is a hard question because I read quite a few 5-star books in May, as you know, if you've been keeping up with my wrap-ups and stuff. So there's that, but if I had to pick one so far that's like really stuck with me, I would probably say Against the Loveless World by Susan Abuhawa. This book is such a phenomenal story that sort of alternates timelines for this young Palestinian woman who is in an Israeli solitary confinement prison called, I think, like the Cube, that is what she refers to it as, versus her looking back on her past and her previous marriages and her life leading up to that point. She was involved in prostitution. She was there in the Iraqi invasion of Kuwait, and she was there for the American invasion of Iraq and her return to her grandmother's home. And it's such a beautiful story, and it's both contemporary and historical because it's set in like the late 20th century and also in contemporary times as we're alternating these timelines and perspectives with these chapters. But wow, this book blew me away. I cried so much reading this, and I think this might be my favorite book of the year so far. I'm not sure though. So the second tag question is best sequel I've read this year. I gotta be honest, I don't really read series that much. Just as I expected, I haven't given any sequels 5 stars so far this year, but maybe Finley Donovan Knocks 'Em Dead, the second Finley Donovan book, because I love that series so much. I love quirky, cozy mysteries, and I like the meta-narrative of like this woman being a suspense romance mystery thriller author and then also living in her own life like a thriller story. And I like this narrative of like going on internet online forums and seeing that someone wants to kill her ex-husband, and then her not really liking her ex-husband but also not wanting to re-traumatize their kids by having him die. So she has to do all this maneuvering and figuring out and working together. Meanwhile, she also has this like ongoing thing with this law student and then a cop. I don't know. I think it's fun. I like it. I'm a fan. So maybe that is my favorite sequel I've read so far this year. Then the next question is new release you haven't read yet but want to. This might be cheating because it's on my June TBR video, but The Town of Babylon by Alejandro Varela. I think this book is pretty new and I need to read it, but if you are on my Patreon and saw my video, you would know that I don't know how likely it's going to be for me to read this, but I do want to, and it is a new release. Another new release that I really want to get to is Cult Classic by Sloane Crosley. I think it's like a literary romance novel. Jalen from Bar and Bookcase really recommends it, so I'm excited to get to this. The next tag question is most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I honestly do not really keep up with new releases, so let me go check. A book that's coming out in August that I really want to read is Anybody Home by Michael J. Seidlinger. Again, because the Bar of the Bookcase talked about it, because it's a horror novel that is told in the second person perspective. It's like how to invade a home, and he sort of talked about how this book is more of an interrogation of like why people are so into like true crime or the idea of like home invasion, and that's so scary to me, and I do want to read this horror novel. So that's a book that I'm really looking forward to that's going to be released in the second half of this year. Biggest surprise of the year so far. Honestly, a book that really surprised me was Siren Queen by Nevo, because I've previously liked Nevo's books, but I haven't like loved them. But this book, oh my god, it got to me because we're following this pre-Hays Code Chinese American girl from sort of like the slums of, I think, LA, and she gets involved in Hollywood and she has to climb the ranks of it, but Hollywood is full of like monsters that are real. Mr. Wolf, her, you know, like the producer company guy who she wants to have a contract with, but it's very fairy tale like, and I love this book. I rated it 5 stars. So this was a big surprise for me, honestly. I wasn't like majorly looking forward to this book or this release, and I didn't have high expectations going into it. I sort of just picked it up because I was like, I knew it was a lesbian story and it was Asian American sort of like Heritage Month, so I was like, okay, I might as well read it. And I liked it. I liked it a lot. I loved it, actually. I gave it 5 stars. So this was a pretty big surprise. Okay, a new favorite author for me is Nicola Griffith because I've read 2 of her books, Spear and So Lucky. So Lucky being like autobiography and Spear being a lesbian feminist retelling of Arthurian legend. I've let my friend who's really into Arthurian legend borrow my copy of Spear, but I loved both of these books. I think the writing was immaculate, and I love lesbian writers, and it's just so brilliant. I can't wait to read more of her books because, I don't know, I've only read 2 of them, but I loved both of them so much. So Nicola Griffith, new favorite author, I think. The next tag is newest fictional crush. I struggle with this one every year because I don't really have crushes on fictional characters. Fictional characters don't really like stick with me in my mind that hard or that often. So, well, honestly, actually, maybe our main character in Spear, because she's like a buff, butch queen, like legend, amazing. So yeah, maybe I do want her, so. A book that made me cry. I already said that Against the Loveless World made me sob like a fucking baby. This might be one of the only books I've cried at this year. I feel like I don't really cry that much at books, but this book, oh gosh, it got to me. So yeah, this one made me cry. Okay, a book that made me happy is Yerba Buena by Nina LaCour, because even though it's a sad book, the ending and like the way that everything plays out, oh gosh, it really got to me and it made me so happy. I love when lesbians win. I love when sapphics thrive, and when a lesbian couple just they're perfect for each other, or they're not even perfect for each other, but they're doing so much for each other. I love that so much. So that's what I would say for that answer, maybe. Most beautiful book you've bought or received this year. I got 4 Minutes by Natalia Deliva, which is also in my June TBR video, when I was in Brooklyn, and it's such a beautiful book. It's so slim, and I love the matte cover, love the colors. Wow, I don't know. This is definitely the most beautiful book on my TBR right now, I think, and that I've purchased this year. And what books do you want to read by the end of the year? Oh my gosh, so fucking many. Just like watch my June TBR video. But I also do want to finish and read Happy For You by Claire Stanford. This book follows a young woman who is getting involved in the tech industry after unsuccessfully doing her PhD in philosophy, and I started it, but I do want to finish it this year. I love reading books set in Silicon Valley, and I think this is another like literary fiction novel following a young woman who's a bit lost, which that's a genre that I love. And another literary fiction following a young woman who's a bit lost is Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Mellers, another beautiful book. But yeah, I haven't started this one yet, but so many people have read this and loved it, and so many people that I enjoy the taste of, or I feel like we have similar tastes, have really enjoyed this. So I'm excited to get to this as well, and I hope I can finish it before the end of this year. But yeah, those are all of the answers to the mid-year book freakout tag. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see my mid-month wrap-up / June TBR check-in, you can become a patron and watch that exclusive video. But if you aren't and you're just gonna stick around and you've just been watching my videos on this channel, I would really appreciate if you subscribed if you haven't already, and if you could like this video and leave me a comment letting me know whether any of these tag questions resonated with you, or any of my answers have given you insight on what you want to read, or if we've read any of the same books that I've mentioned in this video. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.